Hello, New York educators. Welcome to our four-part series focusing on MTSS, a multi-tiered system of support. New York defines MTSS as a data-driven decision-making framework that is meant to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and equity of instruction to make a positive impact on the academic, behavioral, and emotional growth of every student. Now, that's a lot of factors to cover in just one sentence, but we're going to break down the essential components of the New York MTSS framework for you: screening, progress monitoring, multi-level prevention system, and database decision making. So don't miss out on this 4-episode series for ways Savvis Learning Company can help your district provide the level and the type of support necessary for your students. Enjoy!
Thanks, Raya, and welcome to our last episode of MTSS New York. I'm Gretchen Ghost, your host and national rep here with Savvis Learning Company, and I'm joined with our 3 experts. Momentum Suites, we have Dr. Tavy Wells. For Envision Mathematics, we have our national math specialist, Kurt Whited. And for our supplemental acceleration and assessment account executive, we have Dana Melton. Welcome, you guys. All right. This is our final vlog. Can you believe we've made it? I know it's flown by. We started with Dr. Wells identifying the needs of our students from the beginning of the year. We moved to that tiered support with Kurt Whited. And in our last episode, I had this wonderful gang of experts to discuss, well, what are the tools that we have to assess to help move our students through that MTSS process? Today, we want to take the time to say, all right, we've got the tools. We know how to identify the needs. Talk to me about the data. Let's talk data. All right. Let's start at the beginning. When we take that momentum assessment, when we take that math screener diagnostic assessment, what kind of data do we get, Dr. Wells?
Thanks for asking, Gretchen. So that's like the whole point of doing this assessment, right? We want to get information about where the students are. And in the screener, that's just an initial identifier to help us assign the diagnostic. So the screener is going to give regular Envision reports that Kurt will talk about. The true gem, though, is what we get after the diagnostic. After the students finish the diagnostic, the first student that clicks submit will trigger a report for teachers and administrators to be able to see results. And on the diagnostic, the results will look different than other assessments that they'll see in Envision or in Success Maker. They'll get a national percentile comparing your students to other students in the country that took that same diagnostic. And they'll get a scale score which ranges from 1 to 2,000 and is vertically scaled, like I talked about before, from kindergarten up to 8th grade. And it is broken down overall, how did they do? And then by the different, what we're calling domains. So like numbers and operations, for example, or fractions. And we can see where the students are in those different domains as well. It's also color-coded, so we'll be able to see which of the 4 performance levels they're at. Are they meeting expectations for that grade level, or are they exceeding? Are they approaching, or are they just not meeting it at all? And that gives an initial starting point. Once they get to middle of year, the first middle of year diagnostic submission will trigger what we're calling growth reports. So they'll be able to see, just like at the beginning of the year, for the whole class and for every individual student, how they did, how much are they growing, how many skill score points can we see? And we can compare it to how the class did, student to class, or class to district, to get a better feel for that.
That's amazing. That is so much data right there, and norm reference data. So being able to see how your students are doing across the board against other students in the nation. That's amazing. What about when we're in the classroom? What do our teachers have to help guide that instruction, that grade level content?
Sure, I'll take some of that part of that question. And what's great about the Envision series, in fact, about all these that we're talking about, is one thing to keep in mind is they're all in one place, right? So whether I'm doing a diagnostic or what I'll talk about next, which are the topic assessments or quizzes, it's all on Realize. It's easy, one click for a teacher. And so with the Envision series, there's daily quizzes that a teacher could give digitally if they care to, and they get reports back. The nice thing about that is it groups students automatically, and you can assign things out. The reports on that allow you to understand where students are, not just by content, but also by standard. And I can also see reports on how students are doing, how much time they're spending on their homework, or, so we get this really comprehensive look of where students are and how they're progressing. But with the topic assessments, it's a more comprehensive look of, a point in time for a student over roughly 2 weeks. And the benefit of that is that teachers have this data that drills down by standard. In the case of for New York, it's by New York standard. And that's helpful because within that report, I can see which students mastered it, which students struggled on it, and I have got immediate resources to support students for those learning gaps. And that's probably one of the most beneficial thing about those topic level reports is that teachers immediately have access to some resources that can support those learning gaps. And they also have reports that, they can have for conference time that are based on standards, that are based on, you can see trends across classes as well. So they are very comprehensive and super helpful for making instructional decisions, but also making decisions of, when we back out of this and we think I'll go up the scale a little bit in terms of admins for just a moment. Administrators also have these great reports where they can see trends across the district. And what that allows you to do as an administrator is really decide, let's say my, third grade's having trouble with multiplication. I can kind of organize my professional development around these reports so that I'm addressing some of the biggest needs. Gretchen, I can go on for this for a while, but I'll turn it over because I know there's a lot of other types of reports that are available. So I think Dana has a lot to add to this conversation.
Could you see me? I was like, me next, me next. Kurt, you hit the nail on the head with, everything being in one place on Realize, and with an MTSS model where we start with that norm reference data to kind of get a bird's eye view of where students might be struggling and where they might, be just performing at their best. We can make those data-driven decisions. We can start our grade level instruction with Envision, and then we can use that Envision data to make decisions. But with SuccessMaker, we also have data, and it's real-time data. Up to the minute student ends their session, and that teacher can see that exact what they were working on, how they performed at each skill. And then we can see, overall student performance. So where they started, and then weeks, months, a year later, how many months of gains have they made? How many skills have they mastered? And that is going to, again, drive that instruction because I can look through different lenses, right? We have our state lenses, we have our Envision lens. So maybe within SuccessMaker, I want to see, hey, based on this topic that I'm going to start on Monday morning, who should my small group be? Just again, I have my norm reference data so that I kind of have an idea, but maybe that was done a month ago. And maybe my student has been working in that personalized learning program and getting, additional support. They might be in that tier 2 instruction, small group instruction, but they might have mastered that even without me. And so we could really say, okay, based on, what I'm seeing in SuccessMaker, I think that they've mastered this concept. And based on this readiness assessment within Envision, I think that that is also going to support. And then we can go back to that benchmark assessment in the middle of the year and say, hey, it's official, right? I had a number of different resources that I'm using to drive my instruction. So we don't want the students to stay in a specific tier, right? We want to kind of disrupt that predictor. And so I really want to just emphasize using all of the different data that you have.
I love that. So when we think about this, I mean, you say use all the data we have. When we teach as educators, we teach a whole child, right? It's more than just one concept. We're teaching everything that we can to this child. And in what you guys are saying, we're assessing a whole child. We're not using one report to identify everything. We are using different types of reports, getting different types of information from those reports so that we can really truly see where that child is and then make that plan of action to help them be even more successful. This is wonderful. Who has access to these reports? Is it just a teacher, or is it just a principal? Who can access all of these reports that you guys are talking about?
Yeah, I can talk about it. Oh, go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So teachers have access to the reports I was talking about, but so do administrators. And the administrators have a dashboard, which is what Kurt was talking about a little while ago. They have dashboards specific for the screener and diagnostic, and new out now is dashboard updated dashboard for all of the Envision assessments as well. And I hope the administrators will find that it is visually appealing. It is minimalist in the way that it gives you the information that you need quickly without overburdening you with a bunch of other stuff that you maybe not really need at the beginning. But then you can click in and allow a view of student by student where they're at. So administrators have that ability to look at a dashboard of how everyone's doing at a glance. Teachers can see the whole class at a time, but really for teachers, they're more focused on a class and then individual students. The reports are a little bit different, but the color coding will be the same.
It's amazing. So I heard you say that it's one place for data. So I just kind of want to go back to that. Are you saying that with Savis, you have one place for students to log in to get the work that's being assigned to them? You've got one place for teachers to go to assign and to look at reports, and then one place for administrators and district level leaders to go to look at data. I mean, can you guys make this any easier? All right. Well, we appreciate your time here with us to talk about all the robust data that is available to help guide and make decisions to help our students, like Dana said, move through those tiers and get them up and get them out. I'd like to thank all our educators that have listened to all 4 podcasts. Thanks for being a part of the family, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Until the next podcast series, stay savvy, New York.
Thank you for tuning in today. Please reach out to your Savis account manager if you have any questions or would like to request more information about our complete solution to meet the essential components of MTSS.